Mazda MX-5 is a rear-wheel drive two-seat roadster with a sort of front to mid-engine layout. The engine's kind of behind the front axle. It's designed with one thing in mind, and that is to be fun to drive. Everything else comes afterwards. That is what Mazda set out to do, and they used the whole Jinba Itai thing, which is oneness of horse and rider, to achieve a car that essentially replaces the old school British roadsters that were around in the 70s and 80s. They did an absolutely fantastic job, to the point where almost no other manufacturers bothered to try and fight against them since. Now, this particular MX-5 I'm in today is the second generation, known as the NB. It's a car that was around from 1998 to 2005, and it's very easy to argue that this is the best MX-5 that you can buy. So from the very first moment that you get in this car and you drive it, you just know immediately what this car is for. You get in and you have to come down real low. You have to bend your legs, your knees are like popping as you get in, if you're my age. You just feel like you're in this great driving position, low down to the ground. The car's small and it wraps around you. You can already see how this oneness of horse and rider is going to work. It's almost like a masochistic car, because it just wants to be pushed hard, it wants to be driven. The whole point of this car is for it to be fun. It's not a car that you just sort of commute in, unless you've got a really fun twisty road to commute on. But it's not actually that hard to drive either. So you get in this car and the clutch is really easy to use. The steering's a little bit heavy, but certainly manageable. It's surprisingly comfortable for a small sporty car. I mean, I've got enough room in this car. I'm about 6 foot tall, and I've got enough leg room. Obviously I've got enough headroom now, and I do when the roof's up as well. There's a little bit more space for this seat to go further back. The owner is 6'2", and he fits in this car just about. He's also quite a big lad. He's 120 kilos. He told me to mention that, because he might be on about the limit of what this car is suitable for. It's got a ride quality that's it's a sporty ride quality, but it's actually pretty good, given that this car's got the biggest wheels on it, the 16-inch alloys. You know, you get in a Mini or in a Bath or something like that, and the ride is just bone shaking. You feel it in your spine. This Mazda MX-5, it's actually pretty comfortable compared to those cars. Now, it's quite a small car, so it's obviously got quite a small boot, but it's not as bad as you'd think. Now, you can get carry-on luggage in there, and it's reasonably spacious. It's a lot better than like the Toyota MR2 or the latest version of the Mazda MX-5, which has quite a small boot. So it can be a quite practical car, at least for two people to go on like a short holiday or something. The roof is really simple. It's just two little latches up at the top, and then you manually push it down with your arm, and you can do that from within the car. I would recommend, if you're putting the roof back up again, you get out of the car to do it. But it is a very simple process. Now, because it's a Mazda MX-5, you'll want the roof down almost every single time you drive it. Basically, the rule is, if you have one of these, you must have the roof down unless it's raining. If it's cold, no, you still have to have the roof down. If you do find in the winter that you need a little bit more comfort and quietness in the cabin, you could get a hard top for this car, which basically was one big piece that you had to attach onto the car. So on paper, this 1.6 litre engine, it's not the fastest thing in the world. It's got 110 horsepower, and you'll do 0 to 60 in just over 9 seconds, which, you know, that's not fast for a sports car. But because this car is designed around the sensation of speed, it doesn't matter. I can whack this car into second now, floor it, and you can really, as you can hear there, you can just wring that engine out for all it's worth. It takes time to get all the way through the rev band, and it's just a really great sensation of the noise of the engine, and it feels fast because you're in this small little car, all the scenery's flying by you, and it just feels really good. Now, of course, you could get a 1.8 litre, which had 135 horsepower, later 140, and that would have felt a bit quicker. And you know, when it comes to hills and things in this car, you really do have to push the engine to get up them with any pace. When they were designing this car, they had the phrase Jinba Itai in mind, which is oneness of horse and rider in Japanese. It's all about making the car feel as if the car isn't even there, as if it is just part of you. It is you and the car as one unit. This MX-5 NB, it's about as close to that as I've ever got in any car before. But how do they achieve that? Well, it's just about every single bit of the car that you interact with, be it the steering, which is quite weighty, but once you get into a corner, it's just super accurate, and the car, it it kind of wraps itself around you. It's a small car. The gear change is just really slick. It's got a short throw on it, and it just means that you can change gear almost instantly, like it's a DSG gearbox or something. All the pedals are in the perfect position to allow you to like blip the throttle on the down change. Blip the throttle on the down change, I mean, that's just not a JJ thing, but when you get in this car, it is. It just becomes it. Mazda got the interior of this car spot on. It's not pretentious, it's not got all these like fancy materials. It is obviously a fairly budget car, but it looks great. It's just this really nice design, the way they've done these little circular air vents in the middle, the dials in front of you, which are kind of like remind me of a Porsche 911, but a little bit smaller. You've got all of the climate controls here. You've got a CD player, you've got controls for the heated seats and things, and that's about it really. It's obviously a very basic interior, but it just does everything that you need it to, and nothing that you don't. So this car is actually a special edition known as the Euphonic, and it's got a few little extra nice gadgets like heated leather seats. It had a 6-disc CD changer by Sony, which has been replaced by a different head unit, and it also has these quite fancy looking 16-inch alloy wheels, which they look like they're aftermarket, but no, they did actually come with this car. Another MX-5 special is the ridiculously tiny turning circle. You can swing it round in a little car park like this, and it'll just go round on almost like no space at all. It's just so impressive, and it means that this car, it's actually in many ways quite a practical and usable car because of things like this. So I'm doing 50 miles an hour now, and obviously the wind noise is picking up with the roof down, as you'd expect, but you know, I can put these windows up and it's a little bit better. There is a little divider thing behind me as well, which helps block the sound. So, you know, my hair's not really blowing around. It's really not that bad. When you buy an MX-5, you immediately become part of a sort of club of MX-5 owners. Other people will wave at you when you see them, other MX-5s, they'll give you the wave. If you want, you can obviously join a club, and you see groups of MX-5s everywhere. Like whenever you go to a car show, there's always a big lineup of them of every generation. So if you ever need any parts for your car, or you need any advice, or you just want to make some new friends, well, it's a really great way to do it. You probably already know this, but the Mazda MX-5 is an incredibly well-built and reliable car. It just has one Achilles heel, which is quite a serious one, and that is rust. At this age, especially this generation, nearly all of them are rusty in some way or other. Now, this car's no exception. The owner, Jonathan, he's had to get some welding done. The problem is that it's often in the sills, it's the structural areas. They rot from the inside out, and they're quite hard to detect before it's kind of like quite far gone. There's also an issue with the drain holes, and they can get blocked, so it's worth checking them, and you might need to like stick some long wire down through them to clean the drain holes out, because otherwise the water just sits inside the car and rots the car from within. So these cars are getting on a bit now, but they did sell 290,000 of these worldwide, the NB. 40,000 of them in the UK. There's still plenty of them around, and they are now available, and have been for a while, for not that much money. They're probably still the cheapest MX-5 you can get. Kind of, the NC is coming down in value as well, but if you can find one that's not completely rotten, they are really good value cars. And it's another reason why this is probably the best MX-5 you can get now, because the Mark 1s, they're going up in value, they're hard to find. This car, it's the sweet spot of like the handling and the whole ethos of this car, and of course it can be had for, you know, 1,500 quid or something like that. So yeah, thank you to Jonathan for lending me this car, and thank you to you guys for watching. If you want to see a review of the Mazda MX-5 NC or ND, then they'll be up here. Highly recommend looking at those two cars as well, so you can compare and contrast. But yeah, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.